Live from Pink Petro Studios just outside of Washington, D.C., this is Dave Gardy, your host for Pink Petro TV. And anchoring me with today is Katie Maynard, founder and CEO in Houston. Today's Office Hours program features coaches, leadership, and mentoring experts to help you succeed in your career. In Houston with Katie is Susan Hodge, career coach and leadership development expert with Women Leading Together, and April Sharr, founder of Mentor Me. Joining us from Arizona is Gloria Feldt with Take the Lead Woman, a nonprofit with the ambitious intention of gender parity in leadership by 2025. I'd like to turn it over now to Katie, who will begin and kick off our program today.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, everybody, for joining. We're so excited to have you. I want to thank everybody who joined us last week live from Halliburton. We had over 1,200 folks join in on the wonderful program that we had, and today we're going to have yet another great and exciting program. And it's my distinct pleasure to actually bring to you some wonderful people that are going to be a part of the development process here at Pink Petro. A lot of people ask me, what are you doing with this Pink Petro thing, Katie? What are you doing? What are you up to? Well, let me tell you what we're up to. I don't believe development is equal. I don't believe development is created equal. And the internet has changed that. The internet has given us wonderful ways to connect to people and to connect to content that we wouldn't get anywhere else. And so we're changing that. We want to change the game for women in energy. We live in a time-starved, cash-strapped market at the moment, so people have to stay relevant. If you're working, you're probably working 5 jobs. Unfortunately, if you're not working, you're looking for a job. But you've got to stay relevant. So how can you stay relevant? How can you get that development you need? Today we're going to talk about that. So I'm going to jump right into it and get into speaking with our guests. So I'm going to turn to Susan first. I've known Susan for a couple years now, and Susan and I actually worked together at Shell, but didn't know each other when we were at Shell. We met after I left Shell and after she left Shell. Susan is formerly an executive with Shell, but has now gone on her own, as many are doing today, and has a development company where she helps women with career coaching, and she puts together programs to help you succeed. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So you've been in the energy sector, Susan. You've worked extensively in the development area. You've got some coaching and development programs. Let's talk a little bit about that, what you've learned, but then more specifically the difference between the online and the in-person, and what you see those benefits and perhaps drawbacks.
Okay. Well, one of the questions I often get is, do these online programs work? Can they work the same way? And I want to tell you a little story about a woman that called me about a year ago, and she was out of work. She'd been out of work for a while in the energy industry, was very discouraged, had kind of lost her sense of her talents and her abilities. And so I worked with her in virtual coaching relationship. Over the next several months, we worked on helping her understand her unique value, how to get it recognized, how to talk about it. And a few months later, she now has a job she wants. She's ecstatic about it. She's working for a company she wants. She's ecstatic about it, and I'm ecstatic about that. So what I often hear women say is, I'm so frustrated because I don't get the politics. Why am I not getting the promotion and someone else is? Or I'm overwhelmed with everything and I can't handle it all. It's killing me. I'm trying to do everything. Or I'm working really hard and it's not being appreciated or recognized. So what I try to do with them, what I do with women is say, okay, let's stop and look at what's not working for you. Because as women, we do a lot of things instinctively and naturally that don't actually serve us well in business. So we increase their awareness on how on why they're doing what they're doing. And then I work with them to develop a new way and a new skill so they can change some of the things they're doing in business and do it authentically, because that's really important. So I've been able to do that virtually as well as in person. And you ask, okay, which works better, virtual, in person? There's a time for both. But let's talk about the obvious. The biggest hurdle I hear to women committing to their own development is, I don't have the time. Now, usually what's behind that is they're not really willing to say yes to themselves. So we want to make it easy for all of you, to say yes to yourselves. And then the other thing is often, especially in the energy the last few years, is budget. So virtual takes out the time thing because it's efficient. You can do it regardless of where you're traveling. You can do it in a way that's not super high profile and kind of fits into your day. Some of the training I do, you also get recordings. So if you miss a session, you can go back and get it later. So the whole time thing goes away when it's virtual. Now, the other thing I would say is, there are certain times that in person makes sense. If I were going to work with someone on executive presence, I would want to have a visual on that. So it depends on the person, depends on the issue, but here's what I think works. When I get those calls from women that say, oh, I got the promotion, or my boss finally recognized something that he hasn't seen in years, or I've just been identified as high potential, or I see their confidence come back, then I'm like, okay, this is working. This is working for these women.
Well, and I think too, it's a lot of it is what you put into it. So a lot of times I hear, I don't have the time. But we do have 24 hours in a day, and we make those choices, right? And we decide when we're going to invest in ourselves or when we're going to give that investment, to other people or other priorities. So this is great. No, this is great. So I'm kind of curious, maybe you can tell us a little bit about some of the programs. So I know I've gone through one of your in-person programs. This was a while back, actually. Yeah, and I know you've been in this evolution, refining, redeveloping materials, learning yourself as a coach. Tell us a little bit about the programs and how they're all kind of broken up. Because, I always get the whole, oh my God, I don't know if I can commit to a certificate program or a degree or how have you put the programs together such that, they're available, but there's flexibility?
Yes. So the biggest objective, as I said, is I don't want to make the commitment to the time, especially for a long period of time, because schedules are uncertain. So I've taken some of my signature programs and I broke them down into modules. So this is specifically for women to allow them to get their development going, but doing it in a way that's on their own schedule, according to their own budget at their own time. So, for example, the first module I have coming up is in September. It's called Build Your Career Foundation. So for women that maybe something's not quite right, something's not quite working, they want something to change in their career path, there's module number 1. Build Your Career Foundation. And each one of them, I've also tweaked them so they're not only virtual small group programs online, but I've added a one-on-one virtual coaching session. Because I like and the women like, and it's really productive when you can also get more of that one-on-one. So each module, it has a component of small groups. You learn from other women and one-on-one. So that's the first one. There are other modules that will follow on developing advocates. We're great at building mentors, and April will talk to us about that. But we're not always so good at strategically getting our advocates together. I do another module beyond communicating effectively, negotiating for what you want. So there are a number of modules coming up in September, October, and November. First one, though, and this is real important, because I want to make it easy for women to say yes to their development, we're kicking off these first modules, the very first module in September, at a price that's less than the cost of a coaching session. Right. So how can you not say no to yourself for that? Right. And it's all really to make it easy for you to say yes. And if I had to leave you, the audience with one thought, it's leaders never stop learning. I mean, I was just spent a week last week in a course to improve my skills and improve my business. So kickstart your development, keep learning, keep growing.
That's awesome. So what I love about Susan, and what I love about Gloria and April, but what I love about the women that I've tried to assemble here today and really be a part of the Pink Petro phenomenon and the movement is that we all want to give back to women, and we've all ourselves learned to own our greatness. And you guys are wonderful, and you're so much fun to work with. So I'm going to kick it to Arizona, and we're going to talk with Gloria. Gloria, oh my gosh, Gloria, where do I start? So you have started this movement around women. And I love the work that you do because, you know, the World Economic Forum said, what was it, 2095? And you said, no, 2095 is not acceptable when it comes to gender parity. We need to, you know, we need to make that change. And you've started this awesome nonprofit that helps women take the lead women at www.taketheleadwomen.com. Tell us more about the movement. Tell us more about the program. And then obviously we're talking about kicking off a pilot session, a waived session in the spring for Pink Petro members in person and online across the world. Tell us more about that.
Oh, I can't wait. Well, so thank you so much, Katie. And it's great to be here with Susan and April. And I love what you do. Your whole Pink Petro movement is fantastic and a perfect match for the kind of energy and the forward-looking vision that Take the Lead has. Our mission is to prepare, that's training, develop, that's mentoring, inspire, that's role modeling, and propel, that's thought leadership, to change some of the narrative in our own heads from a problem focus to a solution focus, so that women will take their fair and equal share of leadership positions across every sector by 2025. So you're right, Katie. I think 2095 is way too long. And people ask me, why did you say 2025? And my answer is quite simple. You know, I've been an activist for women for 40 years now, and if I could live another however many years it is to 2095, I'd happily do it, but the odds are not great. So we have to do this by 2025 because I fully intend to be alive and well to see this wonderful phenomenon, because what we know is that, and I think this was from the World Economic Forum too, that this is a moment in time when the business case and the justice case have come together for the first time. I mean, we now know that companies that have more women in their upper leadership make more money. What can be better than that? I mean, what could be better than that for both women and companies to make an investment in women's leadership? And it is just the right thing to do. And for that gorgeous daughter of yours, Katie, and for all of our children and grandchildren, we want them to have an equal and fair shot in the world. So we do those four things at Take the Lead: the training, the mentoring, the role modeling, and the thought leadership. And what we're talking about, the opportunity to do with Pink Petro, is to offer the signature course that I've developed that helps women. It doesn't just help women, it actually enables women. It does break through those stuck places. What I found in my research for the last book that I wrote, No Excuses, 9 Ways Women Can Change How We Think About Power, is that there's not so much glass ceilings, although they certainly do exist. There's a lot of implicit bias still in the system. We know that. Things are equal does not mean equal yet in a lot of different ways. But for the most part, anything a woman may choose to want to do, she has the opportunity to do now. But very often the barriers are internal, and they are around women's own relationship with power and intentionality. Because when we choose to embrace our power and have high intentions, in some respects, we're breaking gender stereotypes. And when we break gender stereotypes, we may not be treated so well. And so we may back off. And the sweet spot of Take the Lead training and mentoring and all of the work that we do is to help women embrace their power with intention, confidence, authenticity, and I would say joy. And I think all of those things are important. So I'm thrilled to be able to work with you and to design a course that will be extremely relevant for the members of Pink Petro, and to enable women and you know, I always in times of chaos, that's actually when the opportunity exists. So I know the field is in chaos right now. The economy for energy companies is not so great. But those are exactly the times when people are more open to doing things differently. And so I teach women the 9 leadership power tools that I've created, and one of them is Carpe the Chaos. Know that in chaos is the time when you can actually get your company and yourself to think differently, and you may be able to propose a solution that wouldn't have been even considered previously. And part of that solution may be you're moving into a new position. So I'm happy to talk about any of the 9 power tools. I'm very excited to have this opportunity to partner with all of you. And I I greatly believe in the coaching and the mentoring components. So this whole team here could just change everything for women. And I'm delighted to be part of it. So thank you, Katie.
Awesome. Well, we're glad you're a part of it. And I know you were a part of our inaugural Her World earlier this year. And I have to tell you, I'm a big Steve Jobs fan. And, he says, be a yardstick, take the yardstick of excellence and measure yourself up against excellence. And I'll never forget looking at all the reviews and you had high marks. You're quite the controversial person. I got a lot of wow, and I got a lot of wow. So it's been really neat to just partner with you and learn from you, and also learn from the 40 years that you've been involved in women's rights and activist work for women. And I think you're right. This is a very unique time. We're living in different times. We're living in the age of transparency. The internet has created this prolific opportunity. Sadly, at times it's not the best opportunity, but for most of the time, it's a prolific opportunity to really help get our voices out there, right? And learn from each other. And I'm really excited because the other person I've got here today with us is April Sharr. And it's interesting because hey, April, say hi.
Hi.
Yeah. So April came on actually earlier this year onto one of our first Pink Petro TV events before we were live in HD. And she talked about her experience being recently unemployed and about to pop a child. And I got to tell you, it's a very interesting and scary time to be having a child, particularly when you don't necessarily have a job and there's a lot of uncertainty. But we met actually through the Women's Energy Network, a wonderful network for women in energy in the United States. And we, formed a friendship, and she's been doing a lot of mentoring work on a national level or on a local level here in Houston. And I thought I'd bring her to come talk about mentor circles and the mentoring circle process and how that works and some of the experiences she's had. Because mentoring, there are all these things people say, what's the difference between mentoring and coaching and development and sponsorship? At the end of the day, there's a wheel of opportunity and options. And that's kind of the thing that I'm about is one size does not fit all. All programs don't necessarily meet the needs of everybody. So we want to have a breadth of an offering, but we also want to leverage things that have worked, right? That have been tried and true and tested. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the work you've done with WEN and what you've done in the mentoring space and the passion you have around it. You just started a company, so that's just amazing.
Oh, thank you. So I've actually really, and thank you for having me on here today. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, you were good the first time. We had to bring you back.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. So I'm really passionate about women and mentoring women, and was fortunate enough to be part of a program at my prior company where we learned how, where we engaged in mentoring circles, and we had a lot of group discussion and back and forth and a lot of structure. And so one of the things that I have found in mentoring that I feel like is one of the biggest gap areas is that, you come in and let's say it's a one-on-one type of situation as opposed to a circle, but even in a circle, having been a mentee in circles and then a mentor in circles and now leading the entire process for mentoring circles in different organizations, usually what I have found is that they lack structure. You go in a one-on-one situation, you and your mentor may or may not have any kind of agenda set forth. You don't have any kind of plan. There's not a specific set of topics that you're going to talk about in each of your meetings. And I also feel that mentors sometimes, especially in a corporate situation, they sort of have been assigned this mentee, but they don't really know, especially if you're new to being a mentor, just because you have all these years of experience doesn't necessarily mean that you know how to facilitate a mentoring relationship or you know how to facilitate the conversation. And so these two kind of gaps, I feel, and especially also I've been part of circles where you sort of were assigned a mentor and you were in this mentoring circle. There was absolutely no structure. Everybody could just you just met, you didn't really know why, you didn't know what you were about, what you were doing there. And so one of the things that I have implemented in my program that we've kind of termed Own, Give, and Grow is that women mentoring in circles, you meet in circles, you have a certain ratio, maximum of 10 mentees to one mentor. And the entire program is set up around modules, and each module has a professional development topic which you and your mentees are going to get together and discuss. It comes with pre-reading. It comes with questions, facilitator questions, in-depth types of questions that the mentees are going to prepare for before you actually sit down and meet in person. And so the whole purpose of in-person mentoring, as I've set it up right now in my program, is to provide people with the kind of structure that they need to be successful, and the professional development topics that they need to be successful, and the insightful types of questions that they need to prepare to think about before they come and learn from each other. So in a circle, you might have a mentor, but you're all learning from each other at the same time. And it's a give and take process. And I think that at the end of that, the goal is that at the end of each of those professional development topics in your circle, every time you meet, whether it's once a month or once a week or every other month, you can actually have a takeaway that you can apply to your life in person. And what we found is that when mentees and mentors meet in this format, in person, with structure, with modules, with specific topics, with specific questions, with specific development objectives, then people can actually take that and implement it in their daily professional lives. It benefits themselves on an individual level. It also benefits our corporations, and it makes them more efficient. And what we've seen is these women are getting promotions. They're more confident in what they bring to the workforce. They're more confident in their skills and abilities and how they can ask for more in their current role, in landing that next position and landing that increase in salary, in negotiating other options for negotiation besides salary and an increase in position. There are so many different areas that women don't get naturally mentored in, and so that is what the objective is to provide topics that we just don't generally speak to each other about when we call each other on the phone, and in a safe place that's confidential, where what happens in your mentoring circle doesn't escape your mentoring circle. And so that's the entire objective of the program I've put together.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I gotta say, so the mentoring thing is hot right now. I mean, It's one of the biggest topics next to sponsorship. And I know, Gloria, you're using something called Glass Breakers, which is an online, thing. And we're getting ready to launch a online thing as well. Tell us a little bit about the technology and how is that working, and, does it work? And, because as I understand, and I've met the founder of Glass Breakers, who's a wonderful, wonderful woman. She explained to me that there's artificial intelligence and it does, matching. It kind of takes away the hard work of, putting people together. How is that going? You guys have been doing that for about a month now. Can you talk a little bit about the mentor matching and the process behind the technology?
Absolutely. We have a platform called Glass Breakers Take the Lead, and the technology allows you to determine your own self-description. You make your own self-description. There are tags, and you can change those at any time you have a different interest or you need a particular to meet a particular kind of mentor. But it's based on the theory of peer mentorship and the value of peer mentorship. And it actually it matches you with somebody different every couple of weeks, so that you have the opportunity to meet people online based on algorithms that have matched you through your tags, and then you two decide. I mean, you chat with people, you decide. I would say it's 1 out of 3 or 4. You'll decide, I think that this is a great relationship for me to establish as a mentoring relationship. So I'm going to invite that person to coffee. We're going to get together. We're going to carry this further. Or if you're in different locations, then you can decide to have a chat like this, or you decide then how far you want to take it. But it's a very time efficient way to meet people who can be good mentors. And it's also founded on the theory that everyone can be a mentor and everyone needs a mentor, and that you may play those different roles at different points in any one relationship. You may play that role at different points. So and Take the Lead are one of the things that I found again in the research that I did for my book is that there's no one silver bullet that will break women through to leadership parity. It's really important for women to have all of these things that we're talking about today. And so the peer mentorship concept is a good one. I would say that it can lead you to more of the substantial kind of mentorship that April was just talking about. but it's a time-efficient way to find the people that you might want to link up with. And particularly if you're say you're working as an individual, or you're not in a big company where they're providing you with that opportunity, this is a particularly good way. So you can just go to taketheleadwomen.com, to our website, and you can click on mentor. And it's a completely free platform, so you can check it out for free, see if you like it. And while I have the chance to talk about the mentoring opportunity that we're offering at Take the Lead, I'd like to also just mention another free opportunity that people have to get some quick opportunity to get the essentials of what you get when you're getting mentorship. We have what we call our virtual happy hours once a month. And they're generally on the second Wednesday of the month at 6:30. So, it's happy hour somewhere.
That's right.
Everybody, that's always happy hour somewhere.
In London.
Yeah, get your that's what we do. Get your cocktail, your mocktail, whatever. And I interview a fabulous, interesting woman who can help to share how she made it, how she became what she is. And that's another free service we offer at Take the Lead.
All right, so this is hot. I just gotta tell you this. I mean, I'm like, my phone's blowing up. I turned it off, and then I remembered, I have to answer questions. But let me just say this. First of all, I think it's great that you made mention of this. The fact that we need a wide variety of tools, because I cannot tell you how many people have called me and said, Katie, are you a women's network? Are you like this network? Are you like that network? You know what? The more tools we have in our toolbox, the more professional development programs we have, the more mentoring we have, the louder our voices become united, we will see that parity. We will see that equality. We will see that happen. We've got to speed this up. And that was my whole vision behind Pink Petro, was use social technology, use the benefits of technology to drive change. Wow, we just lost a light. Got a guy over here.
That was exciting looking. Oh, that was like, woo.
Oh, it's okay. Kill the cameraman. Okay. We got the Houston Chronicle here spying on us. So, all right. So I got a question here. Thanks for doing this great office hours program. I have 2 teenage daughters. How would you propose starting the mentoring process early at that age, and what subjects should we cover during the mentoring process? I'm going to kick that one to you.
Okay, 2 teenage daughters. Well, first of all, role modeling is really, really important. So one thing is always remember that whatever we are doing, they are watching. I would also think about exposing them to maybe your friends that would be good role models for them. Teenagers, that's a very different space. But one of the things that I think is really important for teenage girls, it goes to something Gloria said about knowing your power. It's also about claiming your space and setting your boundaries so you can retain that power. So don't give it away freely. That would be a topic I think would be a good one. Boundaries and claiming your space and claiming your power for teenagers.
Yep. No, I know you and I are kind of wondering, because yours is not even 1 and mine's 5 going on 40, but what would you say? I mean, you're a mom, so what would you think?
I think that there are lots of different programs out there for young women and for teenagers. I mean, there's Young Women Energized. I would try and get, or different types of, I don't know if I called that the right thing, the different programs that are available for I'm not calling it the right thing. For young women to engage. But that's what I would encourage. I would encourage women to get involved in those different types of programs, which are focused on leadership and focused on developing themselves, that are available at their level, at the high school and junior high level. That's one of the things. And I agree with Susan. You need to tap into other women that you would want to be role models outside of yourself.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, I know, so I'm a product of the Girl Scout, process.
Oh, yeah.
And now that Allie's in kindergarten, oh dear God, we're going to be, in the daisies and the brownies. We're going to pursue that. But I know Girls Inc. I mean, there are a lot of organizations out there that do wonderful work, for girls. And I would definitely tap into those resources. And most of them are in the communities, all over the world. There are tons of opportunities. But I think you're right. I mean, I think what you guys, said is right. I think the other thing too is I talk to women all the time who say, I actually grew up, in my generation, and my mom wasn't a working mom, right? She stayed at home. So I had a different role model, right? So I think it's the role model piece is very important. We have to make sure that, there are plenty of options and plenty of ways to connect, teens and girls to, to those resources. And I really think that those organizations typically do a very good job at that. So I can't wait to kind of sign up and do that. That'll be fun. We'll get to sell cookies and, and the like. So what about you? Do you have any thoughts on that one, on the role modeling and the two teenage daughters, how we would handle that?
Katie, I wanted to jump on a bit to what Susan said about take your daughter along. Take your daughter along to see the things that you're doing. I would encourage women, and women often do the work in volunteer work in the community. Women are often involved in. Take your daughter with you when you vote. Show your daughter that you are participating in the community at large. Take her with you if you have a chance to take her to work, take your daughters and sons to work day. I can't agree more with the opportunities to let not in a look here, you do this, because that's the quickest way to get girls to decide they don't want to do it, right? We all remember that, but just showing, and you don't always know what an impact you're having. This happens to me all the time. I will hear from a young woman who's now in her 20s saying, my mom took me to a speech that you made 10 years ago, and you said blah, blah, blah. I mean, this just happened to me just like yesterday. Somebody put it on a Facebook page or something like that. You said this, and you don't always know when what you say is going to have an impact on a young woman, but it almost always will have some kind of an impact. So keep the conversation going. They may not ask you the questions. That's the main thing I learned, is they may not ask you the questions. So open the conversation. And even when there's a television show that you disapprove of, it's an opportunity for a teachable moment to say, what do you think about that? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that woman, how that woman is being treated? Or how do you feel about what that woman has decided to do with her life? And open the conversation. It is a conversation. There's no one thing. It is a conversation. It will need to go on for a long time. And it will work. It will work. It will pay off.
Right.
I know what I was going to say. I was thinking of STEM initiatives.
Oh, STEM
right. Initiatives that happen at the high school and junior high level. And they also happen in corporations.
Right.
So you can involve your daughters in that.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, so I'm really excited. And I want to also point out that, because what we've talked about is development that's been more in the virtual sense. There are so many programs out there that are in person. They are in person, and there are a lot of learning opportunities, a lot of events for women in energy, events in the industry where you can get out and touch and see. And I'm a very big proponent of that, because, the way to learn is to actually go and be in the environment and experience the industry and experience the people. So we are going to wrap it up, because our office hours are 4 minutes over schedule. We're trying to make these 30 minutes and nice and short. So I'm going to turn it back to Dave in the studio just outside of DC. I want to thank everybody. Check your mailboxes. We made an announcement today about Her World. Her World is coming. We have big plans for International Women's Day, March 8th. It's also the CERA Week in energy. So there'll be a number of CEOs converging on Houston, one of the best conferences out there. We've got a lot planned, so I can't wait to count down the next 6 months to talk about what we're doing next and what we're cooking up. Back to you, Dave, in the studio there.
Thank you very much, Katie. We appreciate it. It was a great show. Thanks again to Katie, Gloria, Susan, and April for another Office Hours program. From our studios here in Washington, D.C., thanks for joining us, and stay tuned for more on Pink Petro TV.